Run Pure Sports with Andy Lack and Wiley. Here we are.
How's it going, buddy?
Looks like I'm crying, but I just put my eye drops in. Brought to you by Visine. Always carry Visine around for your eyes.
Visine, Home Depot. We're giving away buys of the day on Home Depot, which are not cheap, by the way. But yeah, the DeWalt Power Tools combo kit is massive discount on that. I think you can buy it for like $450 for the price of $750 right now on Home Depot. So come with questions. We will answer them. We got a lot to talk about here. We got Wiley, huge marine layer guy. Yeah, we can get into that because we've got some boots on the ground. I'm going up to San Diego on Wednesday morning. But we've got a bunch of guys in the Discord that were telling us who are in the San Diego area. Super rainy, super wet. I'm about an hour north in Los Angeles, and it's been pouring all weekend. So I wouldn't be surprised if San Diego has gotten some of that as well.
Yeah, I actually heard from our inside caddy who we're going to reveal tomorrow. I don't know if he's going to make it for our show, hopefully, but we'll do a show. And he is going to be members only, an elite caddy.
Oh, yeah.
Who's going to give us completely course intel breakdown, what he's seeing. He texted me this morning. He's driving in San Diego. He said course is closed. So RPS first on the scene there for weather and weather-related updates. Marine layer expert, yes, you are. You're going to hear a lot about the marine layer, right? It's this in Pebble Beach.
Yeah. Anytime you're in Southern California, it was a big topic at LACC as well. I will keep the marine layer talk brief, but what I would say is important to keep in mind is that normally on a lot of golf courses that we see on the PGA Tour, and this is going to come into play maybe more so for showdown, right? For stacking certain players during rounds. Yep. But on most golf courses, you want to target the morning guys, right? Because they get out when, before the greens get trampled down. A lot of times it gets windier in the afternoon. I would say that almost gets flipped a little bit on its head in Southern California because, I live here 9 months out of the year. It's just really cold in the mornings, especially as you get close to the ocean. And that's what we talk about with the marine layer. There's like this layer of fog that is typically around on the coast in the mornings, and then it kind of subsides in the afternoon, and that's where you get some of the sunlight. So a lot of the morning guys are going to have to play in like really cold, potentially rainy, foggy conditions in the morning. And I would expect some of the sweaters to maybe come off a little bit in the afternoon. So something maybe to keep in mind, particularly for showdown purposes, is you get that marine layer on the coast, which I actually think may help some of the afternoon guys, ironically, this week.
What do you classify as cold there, Andy? 55?
Yeah. Anything sub 60, anything sub 60 in my neck of the woods is sweater weather. I mean, you saw the guys,
spoiled man.
I know you saw the guys in Palm Springs were wearing hoodies in the morning. Yeah. And you always see the sweaters out at Tory Pines. So I would say, yeah, it's supposed to get into the 70s in the afternoon. I will be there all 4 days walking the golf course, providing some insights in the Discord in terms of what I'm seeing. They actually, for the first time ever, I've been inside the ropes a couple of times, but I'll tell you what the real cheat code is, Wiley. I've never had a workstation in the media center. So what that basically allows you to do is, like, if you want to go do work, hop in the Discord, I could even do a spaces or come on a show. I could just go into the Discord, go into the media center, have a workstation, track on my phone, track on my computer, watch the golf on TV, and then run back out onto the course if I want to see something. That is the real cheat code. I've never had the workstation before, but the workstation is the freaking nuts.
Well, last week if you haven't joined RPS and the golf side, it is unanimous that our Discord is just absolutely electric right now. We had a ton of winners. We virtually are in there 24/7 talking.
Yeah.
It's taking over all sports at RPS, which is good. So please join that Discord because you get to talk to Andy all day. Well, West Coast, so he's got to sleep first and then wake up.
Yeah, but you see me, you always know everyone's like, oh, Andy's up. Like I always wake up and I go through everything that I missed in the morning, which now we're getting to the point in the Discord where if you wake up at 7 a.m. on the West Coast for me, there's like 1,000 messages in there before 7 a.m. So it's getting to be a more challenging endeavor.
Woke water right there. We're brought to you by Woke Water. Look at this.
Avion.
Go woke, go broke. That's why we're betting Taylor Moore this week.
Don't tell Taylor Moore. I love this week, by the way.
I love this week. Well, here's the things we got to think about. By the way, we are already fighting at 9 a.m. Eastern about Xander. Sometimes it's a bit, but today we're actually fighting because I didn't know it was going to be – well, I'm not going to talk about your article. But by the way, Andy's article is up, exclusive to RPS members only. I saw the betting market for Xander was 9-1. Last week we saw Scheffler 5.5-1. I said fade. He was 30% owned. I got kicked in the dick by people at my own company. But turns out, Scheffler still can't make a ton of putts, especially when it's 30 under. This week, Xander 9-1. I know he's had recent great form there. U.S. Open. He said he led the week in strokes gained, maybe tee to green. But historically, he's local. I've heard players talk about local media pressure and hometown pressure. Charlie Hoffman in Vegas, for instance, he said, "I just got to buy so many tickets for people. I got to do so many goddamn dinners for people. It's very difficult to focus on my game." Saying that, I'm not a huge Xander guy this week. 9-1. Although he came in a better price at 10-6. I thought he's going to be 11-1, so I lost that bet. I still think he's going to be 15% owned, 12 to 15% owned. But the three things we got to think about, and I think there are three, and there might be two, but I'll make up the third. One, if it's swamped out there and the course is closed today, that limits 1 day of practice for these players or walking the course, especially those who haven't played it in a tournament setup. 2.
Right. So that could, like your Minwoo Lees, your
Alex Bjork,
Aubert. Sure. I was going more higher price guys, but yeah.
Oh, okay. Duchasset?
ADDDC.
Yeah. That's really going to take me off of Joe Highsmith, just to tell you.
Right. But your point still stands. Continue, please.
Point two. Wednesday start, at least for now, unless it's still swamped, right? So we now have 1 day maybe of prep. Bjork, the best iron player in the field. Yes, that might be Ryan Barrett's burner. And I'll get
Kyle. And also, we are definitely getting a Wednesday start because you have the conference championship games on Sunday, and that's a nightmare for CBS. So no matter how wet it is, they got to get this in on Saturday evening.
Third. Your core four has cashed me every week so far. I'm sure he's referring to one of us. Third, you got 2 courses again. 2 course setup. One is markedly easier than the other one. I think that I have in my notes, and we can go over sort of general course thoughts here. But I have in my notes, try to pick the guys who start on the North course first. To get that sort of running start because it plays significantly easier. This Tory Pines is an extremely tough track. Mid to long irons all day, not a lot of relief, no real eagle chances. You've got Kikuyu rough, which is like Velcro. Then you've got the wetness, the dampness, the coldness. It's going to play long. And then you've got POA greens, POA bent, right, which grow at a different rate, a lot of footprints late. And it makes it, unlike last weekend, where all the greens were just absolutely pure, right? And a lot of these guys can make 20-foot putts. There's no wind. The course is relatively easy. That's why you get 30 under. You just can't make all the putts on POA greens. You can't even make the short putts. So that is when I play, at more difficult tracks like Augusta or the majors or Tory Pines, which had a U.S. Open, is that you get the Will Zalatoris who aren't notoriously great putters because the rest of their game elevates to it, and the sun running on the putting greens are neutralized. So you go ahead, counter me on all that, but that's my notes.
No, I agree with pretty much everything that you said. These are the toughest greens inside 5 feet on the PGA Tour to hold putts on. So get ready to tilt because anything outside of a tap in is far from a gimme at Tory Pines. You mentioned the reason for that. POA is just a splotchier type of grass, right? It grows somewhat inconsistently. You're going to see a lot of guys miss 3-footers and look at their putter and say, oh, what's going on? Did I hit that wrong? And no, it's just like sometimes you're going to catch a heavier blade of grass right in front of the hole, and it's going to track your ball offline. So be prepared for that on the greens. I think that also gives a big edge. It's my girlfriend in the chat.
Knew it. She's the one who called me an immature, impish frat boy who never grew up.
Frat boy who never grew up.
Fair.
Okay. So anyway, point being, short game, putting inside 15 feet, experience on POA greens, mid to long iron play, as you mentioned. This is an elite driving test, right? So this is another conversation that we had in the Discord was, do you want to be hyper long or hyper accurate? Where I land on this is you need one of the two, right? And I think it is easier to bank on elite distance this week than it is on elite accuracy, because even the most accurate players are still going to miss 25-yard wide fairways at some point. But you need one of the two, right? So these weeks where we've seen Eric Cole, Andrew Putnam, Ben Griffin be these top 20 locks, all those guys, the weakest aspect of their game is driving ability, right? So this is actually a week where those guys are probably going to struggle a lot more. And you may see more names like Nick Hardy, Joseph Bramlett, Taylor Moore, Chris Gotterup, these guys that have a ton of power off the tee and are really good from tee to green. This is the type of course that accentuates those guys' skill set.
So 2020, by the way, Gotterup was an issue last week.
He was, but he got better during the week.
Taylor Moore.
Is that our guy this week? Is that like
he's 110-1. I mean, I'm not going to reveal the entire card because that's proprietary to our Discord.
We're not going to do that, but we can talk about like the yuan of the week.
Kevin Yu was the Kevin Yu of last week, right?
I know.
Play of the day last week on this show, and Yu almost pulled it off. That guy can smash it. He's gutty, and I still like him this week. What I was going to say is, I love Taylor Moore. Anyone who won the Valspar, I'm in love with, both physically and mentally. In 2020, when Mark Leishman won, he was last in the field in fairways hit. Mind you, probably different weather situation, but Leishman was because he's on Live Tour now, was a fantastic iron player and very good around the greens. Those are the two things. Are we saying Taylor Moore because he's the second guy from Discord, like I guessed? Yeah. Actually, Chase, one second. If two guys are close in your ranks, do you stick with stats or guts ownership take over the brain? Andy and I think about this differently. He's analytical. He uses data and information. I just make shit up. No, I just go on what my notes are telling me from 7 years of history of how not to lose more money. And at some point, once you have a lot of exposure to golf, watching a lot of it, you're going to recognize which golfers are better and which golfers are worse at certain skills, iron play, driving, putting, and then what in a difficult course, what players elevate to that sort of setup better, not at Amex, a lot easier, and then you comp that to price. Then you can start saying, wow, I'm getting a real discount on Will Zalatoris this week. Great example. So the driving side for Leishman is interesting because, and explain this to us. He was last in the field in drive in fairways hit. Amazing iron player, very good around the green. Those two things I have to have this week. Good iron player and capable and decent shot maker on the green. Look who's won here a million times. Tiger, 7 or 8 times. Day, Bubba Watson, Patrick Reed. Okay.
I mean, yeah, Rahm too.
Rahm. And what do they all do? They won the Masters. Phil. Which you have to be.
Justin Rose too, awesome at the Masters. Justin Rose is one here also.
Mark Leishman's great at the Masters.
Zalatoris great at the Masters,
Which means that you have to have great hands and a good shot maker to create, because these greens are really fast typically. I don't know that about this week if they can firm them up. But yeah, so explain that with difficult rough, Leishman winning with not a lot of fairways hit.
Okay, so we were talking about this in the Discord this morning, and this actually happened more recently with Zalatoris and Luke List. Both of those guys made the playoff hitting under 50% of their fairways. And the reason for that is the fairways are so narrow at Tory Pines that even the most hyper accurate players are going to miss them, right? Are there outliers to that? Of course. If Morikawa has a peak driving week and just happens to hit 80% of his fairways this week, of course he's going to be at a massive advantage, right? But with 25-yard wide fairways, even the best accurate players are going to struggle to hit those at over 50%. So what happens when the most accurate players can't consistently hit the fairways? Well, that actually places a greater emphasis on distance, right? Because you want to be ideally, if everybody's going to be playing from the rough, suddenly the longer players have a massive advantage being able to hack short irons and wedges out of the rough as opposed to hitting long irons out of the rough. And that is a recipe for a disaster at Tory Pines. I will just tell you straight up right now, if you have a player who is short and inaccurate, they are going to be at a tremendous disadvantage on this golf course.
Unless they're worldwide elite
short
shot
game
making around the green, like Brent Snedeker, who won. Right?
Snedeker, Patrick Reed, right? Your pathway just gets, and there's outliers in everything. Your pathway just gets more difficult, right? But I would say for me, I think that the most easily bankable skill set at Tory Pines, if you're looking through the correlation across skills over the past couple of years for the leaderboards, they generally all possess either elite distance, elite long iron play, experience on POA greens. Like some of those West Coast guys, I'm not as much of a huge regional fan in terms of those unquantifiable narratives, but like Max Homa, Xander Schauffele, Michael Kim, JJ Spawn, like Pat Perez, Phil Mickelson, Charlie Hoffman, all those San Diego guys, all those Pac-12 WCC guys, like even Sahith going to Pepperdine, Xander going to San Diego State, Max Homa, Michael Kim, both Cal guys. Experience on POA greens like really, really, really matters here. So I would say if I'm distilling it to those 3 pillars, power off the tee or elite accuracy, middle to long iron play, and experience on these POA greens / putting inside 15 feet.
Like a Jason Day. Jason Day is a perfect
Jason Day is a perfect example.
He's a good driver of the ball. He's a long driver. He's a pretty accurate driver of the ball. Iron play
comes and goes, but good when he's historically at his peak. Very good.
Around the green, incredible. One of the best putters of all time.
Right.
All right. So let's look at this field from the DraftKings perspective.
Yeah. Let's go through the ranges quickly and do like favorites plays, fades, just out of bird's eye view, because I haven't looked at any ownership yet. Have you? Like, it's pricing got released an hour and a half ago.
I can imagine that. I can imagine who's going to be the highest owned in certain ranges right now.
Me too.
Minwoo Lee will be popular. I still say Xander 11-4, 11-1, maybe not so much. 10-6, he's going to be 16 plus. People love. There is a Xander cult. It's low priced enough that you can still do a lot of things. I still think he's going to be well owned. Day will be heavily owned. Course history itself. People love Jason Day. 9.5 is a decent price.
Agreed.
Tony Finau, I feel, is getting steamed. He's probably a fade for me. Im is the interesting one, right?
Yeah.
He did well last week, but not well enough to warrant the 20-1 price tag. He had a case of the pulls. You don't want to do that when there's a lot of water around.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, you got to make a shitload of putts to get to 30 under par. And all those guys did it. You did it. Not you. Well, you did.
Kevin, you
would have done it. Xander did it. Dunlap did it.
I don't know if you were following Cantlay on Sunday, but Cantlay certainly did not.
That's why I can't stand the guy.
Yeah, that's fair. I'll take the L on that.
He's the Home Depot box of the PGA Tour.
Yeah.
Like, he's about as interesting as that. I mean, that's fine.
Shout out to
DeWalt. And no, Natalie, the ladders are not for sale. But with code Andy15 at Run Pure Sports, you can get a what? Hacksaw,
Home Depot buy of the day. We've got a discount, I believe, on combo kits. They're pumping up on their website.
Oh, I like the combo kits
from DeWalt's and Riawa.
You get a drill.
Well. Ask Natalie if I've ever been to Home Depot in my life. She's going to tell you no.
She said that 70 degrees or less, or 69 is your sweater weather.
It's to the point where, like, if we order a table, she builds it. That's how confident I am.
Do you have one of these sweaters around your neck? You just tie?
No, I'm not okay. I will.
Can I introduce you to some Evian?
I'm from New York, so I can handle the cold weather. Yeah, we've got some core. Yeah, maybe instead we can teach Andy how to do housework. Yeah, it's another podcast.
What's your thoughts on this big range?
I'm not super efficient with the IKEA stuff. Anyway, big range, 9K. Okay, so I would say that because of Xander and Cantlay's price, and particularly what Cantlay did on Sunday at the American Express, my guess is that Morikawa and Homa come in higher owned than Xander and Cantlay. I'm not going to say significantly, but I think the narrative of California, Homa defending champion, Morikawa starting to play a lot better golf recently. I think you could make easy arguments for that both those guys at this golf course should be higher priced than Xander Cantlay. So I think that, and I've been saying this all year, like I've been playing an under-owned Xander at, and he's been sleepwalking into the top 10 each of the first 2 weeks of the season. I think that may change a little. True. I did not hang those pictures. That may change a little bit this week because it's Tory Pines, but I still think Xander and Cantlay, because of the price, will be less owned than Homa and Morikawa. Now, that's a tough decision for me because, like, in a vacuum, I'm very close statistically between Homa and Morikawa. Like, if you ask me right now, better chance to win this tournament, they're both the same in the betting market, 12-1, Homa or Morikawa. I'd probably go back and forth on that answer 100 times. I probably already have in the last 24 hours. So that's probably going to be the most difficult decision for me. Is I think there's value in locking one of Homa Morikawa. I think one, if not both, will be there. And I think because of the price compared to Xander, they're just in a vacuum better place. Now, if Homa and Morikawa are both like 28% and Xander's 14%, it's a different conversation. But between Homa and Morikawa, do you have a lean? Like, I know we have, I feel like Discord love is more Morikawa this morning, but that just could be because Snyder loves him a ton. But I'm going to go heavy on one of those two guys, and I haven't quite decided which one it is. Do you have a lean between Homa and Morikawa?
It's Homa because it's all, Homa is Homa's a guy you play on like difficult, long tracks.
Mm-hmm. California won 4 times in California.
Even at Quail Hollow too. I mean, he's won. I mean, he's ready for a major. He won here last year, and the reason being is that he is one of the like Tiger, and people don't think Tiger was a conservative golfer, but he was. Mm-hmm. Is that he plays not to bogey, right? He hits fairways. He's an incredible iron player. He's a great wedge player. He's very calm out there. He picks the safe side of the green, takes his par, and move on, which on a course like Tory Pines or in majors, that's a perfect kind of golfer that you want. If you were to tell me who's the safest golfer at any price this week, it's going to be Homa. For me. Mm-hmm. Homa. Yes, 100%. Mm-hmm. Morikawa, incredible record, same sort of golfer. I would say I lean less on trust, a scotch. That's
because still in the range of outcomes that Morikawa could lose 5 strokes putting. Like Homa's just a better putter.
Yes. So Homa's one of the better putters on tour statistically this year. I think he's top 5.
As number 1 POA putter in this field last 3 years, Max Homa.
Plus he doesn't, I mean, I bust on Cantlay. I've never done that. I harp on Cantlay, but in terms of all-around game, a guy who does really everything well, like a Rahm. Cantlay does everything well. Homa, same thing, right?
Yeah.
There's virtually no flaws in his game. For a while, Finau was doing that, but he's really become
putter comes and goes.
Putter comes and goes. I think M for the price sub 10 is, I mean, hits it further than he has in recent history. Hits fairways, incredible iron player.
4th in sex in his last 2 appearances at Torrey Pines.
I thought you said 4th in sex.
4th in sex.
I was like, how did you know that? Do I have a listening problem? Do I have like an auditory processing problem this afternoon? And I think M, because of the disappointment last week, will be forgotten a bit. Mm-hmm. So I agree with you on everything else. I really believe I'll need to fade Xander Schauffele this week. I just believe the guys below him will pass him. And I think that placement points are such an important part of this week with not a ton of scoring.
Okay, quick last rapid fire last question before we do the 8s. Better play in your opinion, because there's a lot of similarities in my mind between these two. Both have never played Torrey Pines before. Both have, however, the token skill set that you are looking for Torrey Pines. Better play this week, Ludwig or Minwoo?
Ludwig is a gift at 9,700 to fade.
Interesting.
Always. Okay. It's just too much money. Hasn't played here. Mm-hmm. Has not played well the last couple of weeks. We'll
pretty much get up. Yeah, 0 experience on POA.
We'll still get ownership. Welcome to the big leagues. Cam Champ, we saw him. He was the next great, right? Camera was on Cam Champ. And I love Cam Champ, but it's tough to maintain that level of play on the PGA Tour. Dunlap, now that guy might be a cyborg. I don't know. That guy is.
Yeah, that was insane.
That was insane. And the other one's going to be Minwoo Lee, right?
Minwoo 9,100. Yeah,
I like Minwoo Lee.
Okay.
Australians seem to have a very good history here. I don't know if it's because of the speed or the shot making around the greens, like, fast, quick, windy sandbelt courses.
Mhm.
But Minwoo Lee is an impeccable ball striker, and he is really good around the green. He will be super popular.
Mhm.
Am I a little bit concerned they will have virtually not any time to practice as much as
Mhm.
they want this week? Perhaps,
Mhm.
because he just came off playing at the Amex too, so it's not like he's been here early.
Mhm.
I don't know. I have Aberg Aubert is a fade.
Okay. Let's talk about the eights. So give me your top play in the eights and your big fade. I have a feeling I know who the play is going to be.
Will Z 45 to 1, 8K. I was like, there's no way he's going to be less than 86, 87. So Bob D and team at DK, thank you for this gift at 8K Will Z. He showed me enough last week. He's like a Homa. He has his best performances on difficult courses. He has best performances in majors and when the stakes are high. Because why? He fucking hits it a mile. He hits fairways, and when he's on, there's not an iron player in the world that can top him. Yeah, he's a little unsteady with the putter, but he's still close to 20 under last week or hovering around it.
Right. And it's like if even the elite putters are missing short putts at Tory Pines, and Will Z's like, fine, great with
he's
me.
like, fine,
welcome to my world.
Yeah. He's like, that's why I do well at Augusta, because no one's making all those 6-footers either.
Yeah.
I love Will Z. Tagala. Surprisingly, I think I saw a stat flash
Underpriced. I thought the goal would be low nines. Yeah.
96. I was like, I was wrong on all of it. But again, competent around the green. I saw a stat that he's doing well this year. He's a great iron player. He hits it far. He has guts. Those are the two I like out of the gate. And you know what? I'm not fading Daniel Berger. Can you believe the performance he put up last week in his first tournament back? Yeah. He is number 1 ranked stroke gain guts on the PGA Tour. He's got a great history here. He doesn't hit it a mile. But again, he's the guy who plays tough courses well when the stakes are high. Memphis, right? Very tough course. Plays great. The Florida swing. Never back down from Daniel Berger either. Can putt, has great shot-making ability. So I think there's a ton of value in the eights. The one guy I will fade is Eric Cole. Sorry, Eric. It's been a fun ride, but.
Yeah, totally. He's 9K, by the way, but I agree. Yeah,
I'm not busting on Eric Cole.
For me, I wrote about this guy in the article. I've talked about him in the Discord. He was my first bet this morning, so I'm not going to belabor the point. I'm big on Harris English this week. I think he's a little expensive. I was expecting 83, 82 from Harris English. So maybe that makes me like him a little bit less in DraftKings, but Harris English, 3rd at the 2021 US Open at Tory Pines, 4th at Winged Foot in 2020, which is the East Coast version of Tory Pines in terms of what it's asking you strategically off the tee. So something about this style of homogenized architecture brings out the best in Harris English, trending in the right direction, back-to-back top 15s in Hawaii to start the season, driving the ball amazingly, a late putter. Harris English is probably one of my favorite plays. I'll prevent from saying favorite play on the slate because he's a little bit overpriced, but I'm still playing him at 88. A question I want to get to quickly in the chat was, does the wet and rainy conditions make you favor Europeans more? I think that's a interesting point to raise. I think Shane Lowry's 79, but this could be a good sneaky bounce back Shane Lowry spot, who's been good at Tory Pines in the past and has been really good at these tougher, longer, just looking at the weather conditions at Tory Pines right now. It's a little Irish, right? It's cold, it's misty, it's foggy, right? So I do think that's a sound point that maybe you want to give a bump to the Europeans. And then
the only downside to playing Europeans is they're gutless.
I feel like Sepp has what's your guts rating on Sepp?
Except Austrians, they're good.
Yeah, I'm pretty high on Sep's guts.
Sep's all American. He's Americanized now.
How do you feel about Hojgaard? He's got the
Hojgaard.
Yeah, he's got the skill set.
He's Harris English. I'm not going to let beat me this week. Out of all these players in the field, most of them I can define something they do well or what makes them good, especially the good players. I cannot define what Harris English does well. I cannot define.
Gets the ball in the hole. Yeah.
He just gets the ball in the hole, and he's -8 on Thursday, and you've not rostered him. So I will not let Harris English beat me. Hojgaard, I feel like, is someone who can beat me because I don't think I'll play a lot of them at this point at all based on what I want up there. My core is going to be super heavy into the guys who I think have the most win equity, obviously. And then I'm going to, sprinkle some plays. I'm really going to tighten up my core versus what it was last week. Because last week it was big because anyone could win and score, which we saw.
Right.
Dunlap, Kevin Yu. There was a lot of plays like, who are even these guys? And they're winning a golf tournament. That's not the case this week.
Lower variance golf course, lower greens and regulation percentage, tee to green skill is accentuated here. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Victor Perez is not winning this week. Right. I could probably bake my entire net worth that that's going to happen. One of the big studs is going to win. It's major type golf. So Hojgaard could possibly be a problem for me. Mid, not Schmid, who is mid. Schmid cost me $200,000 last week. I'm just going to say that right now for not making a 54-hole cut by bogeying late.
I remember.
So that's why I'm down on Euro golf right now.
I remember that.
Matsuyama. Their peak Hideki bot Matsuyama golf. If he is, think of Firestone Matsuyama from a few years ago at the Bridgestone. If he's playing that type of golf, there is no course on earth that I think better suits this dude.
Yeah. I think I'm going to bet him at 50 to 1. I'm big time in with you on Hideki at 8.6. What about the sevens? Because there are a lot of guys I like in the low sevens. I struggle a little bit more with the high sevens because I know we had fun playing Ben Griffin and Adam Svensson to start the season.
Keith Mitchell.
I know we had fun playing Christian Bezadenhout last week. That was a big RPS guy for us. This is not the wedges and Bermuda grass that Ben Griffin loves to feast on. I actually think the nuts is right below him with Ryan Fox potentially.
Yeah. First, when I saw him 75 to 1 in this tournament, I'm like, Ryan Fox is an absolute New Zealand mauler. Hits it a fucking mile, great iron player, and gets it in the hole. He just is a tee to green guy. And 7,500, I'm in. I also a little bit talk about Euros, and this is going to counter what I just said. But Jaeger, I thought would be a little more expensive. I think he's competent around the greens and a good iron player. But I agree. I'm thinking the low sevens is where I like it most, and it starts and ends with Taylor Moore. Our Taylor Moore.
So to answer the question, I threw this out in the Discord like 20 minutes before we did the show. Who are the two players? Because I've talked about, I think, putting 5 to 15 feet, experience on POA is a really important pillar. I think that long iron play is a really important pillar. And I think that power off the tee is a really important pillar at Tory Pines. The two guys who rank top 20 in all three of those categories, like top 20 in this field in length off the tee, long iron play, putting from 5 to 15 feet. It's Nick Hardy and Taylor Moore, who are 7.3 and 7K.
Who are the same person.
Yeah. And I think those guys, like, that's the prototypical skill set that you want at Tory. So I am big time in on our Taylor Moore this week. And our Nick Hardy as well this week.
And so Taylor Moore's 110 to 1. I got that price in quick because that'll change that'll change here over the course of the next couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
And then someone just said Justin Suh, Cali guy, Michael Salazar. You know,
yeah,
he had a good run last year. I mean, he was ball striking it really well. He definitely will be in my player pool.
USC for Justin Suh, another Pac-12 guy.
Are you a savant? Like, are you like the Rain Man of colleges to players? If I pick one out, because I get birthdays, right? I'll get any athlete's birthday.
I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good with golf stuff. I will say that. I don't remember like really obvious things, but when it comes to golf, I'm pretty good.
What college should Dietrich go to?
Illinois.
Fuck, that's good.
I don't know if that's right. I should probably check that. I think he went to Illinois.
What about Tom Hoagie?
TCU.
This is kind of an interesting bit.
All right, you have to keep. I'm right on both the two. You have to keep going till I get one wrong. I will get one wrong at some point, but you have to keep going till I get one wrong.
Until you get one wrong?
Yeah.
Okay. JB Holmes.
He needs to be like more relevant recently.
DeVry. So you got one wrong. He was serious about success.
Throw out somebody give a random PGA Tour player in the chat, and I'll see if I can name the college.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those low sevens. Any love for Straka? Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We didn't talk about him. We didn't talk about him in the eights, but
I said I hate gutless Euros, and then I named like 4 Euros I like. That's how this show goes. Smalley, no, I can't. Chris Parrish, I can't do small anymore.
He was asking what college. Shout out Duke. Smalley is my guy from Duke.
Smalley didn't go to college. He didn't graduate.
Oh, God, Luke List. That one's going to stop.
Easy.
Where did Luke List go to school?
What's that?
Where did Luke List go to school? Do you know?
Oh, hang on 1 second. I'm just answering a question in the Discord.
I don't know where Luke List went to school.
Lindsey Wilson College? No. Oh, I said Leslie List. Never mind.
Luke List College.
Vanderbilt. He's a Vandy guy.
Yeah, he's a Vandy guy. I should have known that.
Nashville.
Should have known that. All right, let me ask you this question.
Sure. Go ahead.
Because I have a hard out in like 10 minutes for the Golf Digest podcast.
You have a what? Sorry,
I have a hard out in 10 or so minutes for the Golf Digest pod. They asked me when, like, you know, I'm following up Nick Dunlap on the pod. They had like Nick Dunlap, Emmett Smith, and then when none of the celebrities are available, they asked me to go on. Do you think there's going to be overwhelming? Do you think
your girlfriend is completely trashing this entire conversation? It's my favorite part of this. You need like a relationship counselor. What's my middle name? Andrew.
Elaine.
Andy's big timing me right now. I know that, Kirshner.
I'm doing a pod with Kirshner later today too. I'm going back to back. Okay, so do you think like any overwhelming group think in the sevens? Any chalk in the sevens we need to be concerned about?
Chalk ownership. Taylor Moore probably will get. I mean, we're steaming right now. Ryan Fox, people love to play him.
What about Michael Kim at 73, coming off a 6 in the Amex?
No.
San Diego's own?
Twitter favorite? No.
Okay. Yeah. I'm playing Michael Kim. I will keep playing Michael Kim. Yeah.
There's the exit. There's the exit to Home Depot. Aisle 6. Make a right. There's the yellow doors. Have a good night, Michael Kim. Take your shopping cart with you.
I love Michael Kim. He's such a stud. So yeah, we got to be careful. Keep the Nick Hardy and Taylor Moore stuff low key. And then also, I'm just gonna, for everybody who's in here, I'm just gonna rip you with a couple bangers. Joseph Bramlett, 6.8. Love that play. Hits the ball a mile off the tee. Has had some success at Tory Pines in the past. Nate Lashley, 6.5. Tons of success on Polo Greens. Great long iron player. Gary Woodland, 7K. Shook the rust off. Hear me out. Shook the rust off. He's made like 10 out of his last 11 cuts at Tory Pines. won a U.S. Open, a Marine Layer U.S. Open at Pebble Beach on Poa Greens. Great long iron player, great driver of the ball. Shook the rust off at Sony. Think about it. Sam Stevens, another Discord guy, 7K flat. Just play Sam Stevens on long golf courses. Thank me later for that one. Chris Goddard up 6.5. Had one terrible round at the Amex. Improved as the week went on. Absolutely mashes the ball off the tee. Great long iron player. 6.5K. You can put him in a couple lineups and you'll be well over the field. So there you go.
I'll give you the actual names that you need to listen to.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie Hoffman. Not kidding you. Charlie Hoffman.
San Diego guy.
Long iron player. Not a lot, but just enough. A few. I don't like a lot in the sixes. I like Johnny Vegas flop leg.
Hell yeah.
Wasn't great last week, but
miss a cut on the number, bogeyed 17.
Yeah.
Signs of life. Yeah.
Johnny Vegas, TPC Sawgrass, difficult courses, hits it long, and somehow gets in the hole. I mean, yeah, he can be really frustrating, but I think the price is okay. Kevin Yu at 7-2, by the way. We didn't talk about him, but Kevin Yu is always in lineups. There's not a ton I like down here. I can get behind Bramlett a little bit. He hits it far.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a lot around the 7 builds. I may play a couple of JB Holmes lineups only because he nearly won here a few years ago.
Yeah, he did.
Remember that? Him and I think he was playing against Norin, and
could have been Norin. Yeah. Beefy guys like it here. Scott Stallings almost went back to back here when Scott Stallings was on PEDs. So some units like Tory Pines. Rom's a unit. Straka's a unit.
Leishman's a unit.
Leishman's a unit. It's a good
Tiger's a unit.
It's a good course for the beefy.
Phil was a unit.
Yeah, it is a good course for the beefy boys. Young Sodies, it's Woodland week. I'm with you. I'm not going to. I don't feel comfortable recommending anybody play Woodland, but I will play Woodland. Pride of Tory Pines High School. A couple of Tory Pines High School guys in the field. Michael Kim went to Tory Pines High School. I only know this because my buddy, who's an RPS member and in the Discord,
who's that?
My friend Mike McKinnon. He works at the local news station in San Diego. Tory Pines High School guy. Yeah,
I was making fun of local news San Diego as part of the bet this morning, and you go, the guy who runs it
is in the Discord. That's why I'm always on San Diego.
That's why I got to workshop jokes off to the side first, and
then drop them in there.
If Hammerstein, Stuart Sink, always play Stuart Sink.
Okay, yeah, maybe.
I know you got to go to your fancier events and podcasts with Brian Kirster et al.
Harris English almost did win API last year. Okay, so we'll do a much more just a schedule update for people before I head out. We will still do the Wednesday premium show Tuesday night, 8 p.m., right? Where we go over final ownership. We'll have a much probably greater sense of how we feel about our player pools. My normal article that I drop on Wednesday mornings, 12 Eastern, is now going to be up tomorrow afternoon, 4 p.m. Eastern. So we'll give you enough time to build before the show, but still me enough time to get the latest sense on ownership. Yeah. But that's it. Anything else? And yeah, rubpuresports.com, code Andy to get the discount. We would love to have you in that Discord. We'll be chopping it up in there all week.
Yeah, man. You're both stars. Oh, Natalie, that's so sweet.
She's coming around.
Yeah, so I don't think we have a final. If you were to say right now, I guess we can say this on this show. Gun to your head, who wins? Outright, price, agnostic, doesn't make a difference.
I'm going to stick with Harris English, because that has been my guy since day one. But my cop-out answer would be one of Homa Morikawa. I just haven't figured out which one yet. I'm going to bet one of those guys with Harris English. I just haven't figured out whether it's Homa or Morikawa yet. So I'll talk that through in the Discord. But what about you?
I'm with you on Homa. I think M straightens things out this week. Straighten things out. I mean, he still was 2,200 par.
Mm-hmm.
I think M has a big week.
It's going to be an expensive habit for you if Sungjae doesn't.
Yeah, I think M wins this week.
Good flop lag. He'll be lower owned.
Takes shot. Oh, literally took a shot.
All right, Sir Wiley. Later.
Peace.
Adios.
Wait, we gotta talk for a bit before we do the outro.